Okay, it's now 2:05, members, reconvening our full council meeting. We're on page 20. Page 20. From the Committee on Budget, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 217 and Resolution 24-17 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Cordero for the explanation.
This approves the sale of the Pi'ikoi Mini Park, Road Remnant Lot 46, 1409 Pi'ikoi Street at Honolulu, Hawaii, tax map key 2-4-020:056.
Thank you. I do have one registered testifier, Amanda Kirby. Aloha and welcome.
Hi, yes, my name is Amanda Kirby, and I oppose the sale. Aloha, council members. My name is Amanda Kirby. Thank you for having me. I strongly oppose the sale of Pi'ikoi Mini Park. In a recent Honolulu Civil Beat article, there are over 70 comments also opposing the sale. In these comments, other outcomes are discussed, like an active adopt-a-park application, native plantings, or an HPD kiosk or parking space. We can all agree there is illegal activity occurring near this park, usually under the adjacent H1 overpass. We all want this to stop, but the sale of this park won't solve the ongoing problem. If sold, the intention of RV Ventures to enclose the space as a private garden is not guaranteed without a deed restriction. The parcel is currently zoned P2 preservation, but that can be changed, if not by RV Ventures, by a future developer willing to spend the time and money. With a sale, there is no promise that the low price of $112,000 will be kept and reinvested in the Makiki neighborhood. Today, I ask that this resolution be recommitted to the Parks Committee for a better solution. If sold, I strongly ask for a deed restriction to protect the trees and public access. At the end of the day, a fence will do nothing to stop people from sleeping on the sidewalk. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of public green spaces in our community.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Ms. Kirby? Councilmember Shea.
Yes, Amanda, it's a privilege to see you again, but at the last Makiki Tanless Neighborhood Board, this particular resolution was presented to the board. And at that point in time, I believe it was a stalemate. Some of them were in support, some of them were in opposition. And at this point in time, when we do call up the Director of Budget and Fiscal Services, your conditions that you're requesting, I wish we had talked about it earlier at the neighborhood board meeting. But I apologize because I am in support of it at this point in time, the sale. Okay? Thank you.
Any follow-up questions, members? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have Chun James remotely, and I believe Winston Welch also signed up.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Welch.
Aloha, council members. I'm Winston Welch. I am testifying in my capacity as Executive Director of the Outer Circle, which has diligently served the city for 112 years, planting hundreds of thousands of trees, maintaining parks all over the city and the state. We do not want this sold. It's a bad precedent. Even if you're looking at it from a maintenance point, why are we running away from maintenance of parks, and where does it stop? Does every city asset that has homeless on it then become sold or disregarded? This is not a huge thing. Also, Vanessa Kirby and others have offered to adopt this park. This is what we need in our city. Why would we be denying them this and rushing a sale for $112,000? This land could immediately be rezoned or be requested to be rezoned in the future. Maybe it's not immediate, maybe it's 10 years. The very people, PV Ventures, said they would be happy if the city just maintained and policed the lot. They don't want it sold, they just want the city to step up. So we're gonna give this public asset, which was put there for a reason, to a private company at a fire sale. If I did submit written comments, I suggest or would request that you look at them and the basic questions that we're looking at, because this is an issue of homelessness. We won't deal with that issue. You all had a very passionate discussion before lunch on meeting the needs of people. Taking away a park for all of the people does not help this. It just moves it down to the next park. So I would ask, we're sympathetic with the neighbors. We need more policing, more social services, and more parks budget here. But let's recommit this to parks as well. This has been going on since 2009. There's a lot of really, I think, good governance issues here that you should be looking at in the comments from Civil Beat and the overwhelming testimony that you've received on this to not sell this piece of property, but rather look at this in a better way when we have people who are willing to step up and take care of it, as well as the neighbor who doesn't really even want to buy it, according to the article in Civil Beat. So please don't rush on this. Just send it back to Parks Committee where it should belong. Anyway, it went from zoning to budget. People think of this as a park. Why was it in zoning? You got to kind of question that. Is zoning going to be changed? I realize there's certain administrative things, but please, there's no need to sell this property at this time. Let's have a reasoned discussion. Let's look at the comments of the public and do the right thing for the citizens of Honolulu. Thank you.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Mr. Welch. I just want to get clarification relating to the, you said don't rush it, but then you mentioned that the discussion of the sale has been happening since 2009. Just wanted to get clarification on both different, I guess, contrasting statements.
That is what I had read, is that I think the budget director had approached the neighbors. That's what it said. I don't know the specifics of that, but I don't know why the city was doing this. This was originally dedicated as a park for whatever reason, so why is it not useful as a park now? It may not be an active park with a playground or a soccer field, but it is a visual respite, which we know has so many benefits: emotional, psychological, physical. One of the ladies who testified earlier in April said that park basically saved her mental space because it's all she could look at during COVID. And that's that green space. There is no other green space within 500 feet in any direction of that. You'd have to go over to Makiki Park, which is fine, but why would we give this up? We just need to police it and take care of it better and have it be adopted by these really great folks who are saying, yeah, we want to step up and help our community.
Okay, I was just wanting clarification on those two statements. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions for Mr. Welch? Councilmember Say.
Mr. Welch, in defense of the position I've already taken, I have attended most or all of the Makiki Tamlis neighborhood boards. And this particular discussion, I believe Audrey was there and others, right, in opposition to the sale, but then there were also others on the board who supported the sale. That puts me in a very awkward position. But the question I have is that if the Department of Parks and Recreation and the Department of Budget and Fiscal Services says that, yeah, we can sell it as a remnant, would you listen to them also as the administration?
Well, thank you for the question, Councilmember Say. I think that, this, if you look at the sustainable, PUCDP, if you look at the Oahu plan, if you look at other goals by the city, they all call for keeping, maintaining, preserving, and expanding our green space. So shrinking it down is not in line with those city goals. The Parks Department calls for the very same thing. So why they're going against this is because they don't have sufficient resources to maintain this. But there's a Beaky station there. Somebody in the comments said, charge Beaky rent. What if you had the Beaky people have a little contract that say, you guys got to pick up the trash here every day when you replenish the bicycles. That's part of your duty. And if it's a motorcycle that somebody dumped, then you got to call the city for a big trash pickup. These are simple, easy solutions rather than jettisoning our public assets, which once that's gone, and $112,000 for that, you try and buy a piece of land in Makiki, 5,000 square feet to replace this park for $112,000. Good luck with that. Yeah, so I think Councilmember Say that we're doing a disservice. I don't know why Budget and Fiscal Services involved. This is just their kuleana to sell it, but Parks Department should be maintaining this. If they can't, then let the volunteers take it over. Let's come up with some creative solutions that have already been proffered by the community. But the overwhelming number of comments, and if we look at Civil Beat's comments as unofficial testimony, which is why I included a lot of it in my testimony, so that we could have a depth and breadth of public participation that isn't here today because people don't know how to access the system. They can't take time off of work, but they were able to read that article and comment there, which is in and of itself something. The overwhelming testimony you received here in your hearings in April and in August were also against the sale of this property for important reasons. Whether it's the actual property and the ecosystem service benefits and what it provides to the neighborhood, or the larger existential questions and governance questions, either one of those, the way that we're looking at this should be something that we're not doing right now or doing at all, but recommitting it so that we have a time. I don't think the questions that Councilmember Kia Aina asked last time or others asked last time were actually really answered by your last meeting either, which I'm sorry I missed when it was in the Budget Committee, but I don't feel that those were really answered either. So why are we rushing to sell this? Is there an emergency that we have to sell it by some point in time? I don't think so. So let's get this right because it sets a bad precedent for other assets of the city. And the council tried to do this a few years ago with a park downtown because the homeless were staying there. So are we going to abdicate our responsibility to have parks for our population because we can't do anything about the homeless? Or in this case, you know, I know it's not always an easy, simple solution, but there are solutions at hand here that we should explore first, absolutely, before we sell this parcel. Thank you.
Any follow-up questions? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam, followed by Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, and thank you for your advocacy for our parks and green spaces. I think part of the challenge is we have all of these small mini parks, little parks, remnant parcels, et cetera. The big parks like Ualani Park and Ala Moana Park, get a lot of the attention. They get a lot of the adoption and maintenance and things. What have you seen from other jurisdictions on how they engage the community on these small little parks? Like what more can we do? Especially in the Makiki area, there's a bunch of these little ones that we haven't quite figured out what the best recreational uses.
Well, it's a good question because sometimes there's all kinds of different parks. And if you go to the park's website, you'll see that there's very large parks that we have. There's regional parks, there's sports parks, there's beach parks. There's all types of parks, and 30 or so are these mini parks. And those are really designed, I put in something in my testimony from another city that said about 25% of their parks were less than half an acre. A lot of this is just for a visual calm from the city, not a concrete wall. That area is very heavily trafficked. Yes, it is, but this is just something that provides a visual respite that cools the neighborhood. There's no guarantee. That lot could be sold, converted into an A2, and an apartment block put up there with a 201H exemption in 2 minutes. What you ask about community involvement, you have a community member who has applied to be an adopt-a-park, but that's being put on hold by parks with the reason that this is up for sale. But if this has been going on since 2009, did they ever have a chance to really adopt the park? I don't think people really knew this condition it was in until this came up earlier this year. So I think in all fairness to your question, how do we get people involved? We let them know that they have a stake in their neighborhoods and that they can take care of those properties. The Outdoor Circle maintains parks as well. Even a small park, an example of that is when you drive into Kailua, just where the road splits and it goes off to Whole Foods to the right or straight down to the beach when you come down the Poly. There's exceptional trees in that lot. Outdoor Circle pays for the maintenance of those trees. That's a lot of money that it spends every year to maintain properties like that. There's a lot of really great groups in your communities that want to adopt parks. I think Parks is making a better effort to do this now, but when we reject such a simple solution for this, even if you just said, okay, we're going to revisit this in 3 years and see how it is, how are the complaints, can we make it more beautiful? Could we have a competition for the UH landscape architecture classroom to come up with a visually attractive and easily landscaped and maintained park? There's a lot of different things that we could do here. So could we not give the community a chance to step up?
Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Welch, for all the work that you do in Outdoor Circle as well, and appreciate the advocacy. I'm just trying to understand, because I agree we don't want to engage in just selling off parkland, but I'm just trying to understand if there seems to be a collective understanding that crime, homelessness, other issues are problematic at the parcel. Why hasn't there been an adopt a park to date? Understanding, like, folks are interested now, but again, this is a by request resolution. Admin's been going through conversations with a potential purchaser dealing with these issues for many, many years, and I'm just trying to wrap my mind around. It seems like the community hasn't really engaged much on the particular parcel. I mean, do you have any insight on that?
It's a good question. As you all know, you go to your neighborhood board meetings, hopefully, and see your constituents there, and you'll know that the police give a report, and they say, this month there were 300 burglaries and 200 whatevers. But it's very hard to get specific locational information where these crimes occur. So I don't think that anyone, even on the neighborhood board level, even when we ask for specific information, it's very hard to get that. The police will refer you to the police website. But if you said how many crimes occur right here in this location, this is something that I brought up with Chair Waters and staff about having some pinpointed stuff so we could see how many times was 911 called in this location for this crime. That would be super useful for us, but we don't have that information. So how would the neighbors know that something's happening there? I don't think they do, but what they do know is that there's someone laying on the sidewalk, and that's what an impression could be, rather than reclaiming that area and saying, no, this is a valued public space. I think the city has also sort of done a cleanup of the homeless area around there, and the city could put up fences underneath the freeway so that people can't stay there. You could have regular cops coming and saying, you may not sit and lie on the sidewalk, and here's access to homeless services that we want to provide for you. We want to give you this house, whether it's 280 square feet or 350 square feet, whatever it is. We want to give you supportive services so that you don't have to be in the park, but we don't have to give up the park because we haven't figured that one out yet. And that's obviously a longer discussion, but how do people know? I don't think that they do know, but I think that when it's brought to their attention and they offer to step up, that we should not be denying citizens the opportunity to enhance, protect, advocate for their communities, even on something as small and seemingly simple as this.
Mahalo. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions, members? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Welch.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chun James.
Hey, aloha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I want to begin by saying that I know you all have a lot on your plate and you cannot be vetting everything through it. But in this case here, I earnestly ask you to reconsider and table this issue here. You know, as the population of Oahu grows more dense, it's imperative for the city to keep as much green space as it can. And I have been involved with keeping and protecting public land. There have never been a time where we have regretted doing it. For a young child, a 5,000 square foot lot is huge. It is, you know, it is a wonderful place. We need to keep public land in public hands. And this action here also implies that the administration is giving up hope, is giving up valuable resources because it has no confidence, no will to maintain and update its basic amenities. This is not the right direction to go. Let's envision a clean, green, safe, and thriving Oahu for our residents today and forever. I know we can get it done, but please, please, please reconsider and just table this issue, because I know that you all have had a lot of issues on your plate, and just do that. Just reconsider and table it I can tell you through my decades of trying to keep open land for our public, we have never regretted a time that we have kept some public place open, but we have wept over places that we have lost. And I was there yesterday. It is such a beautiful location and a beautiful site, and it has a beautiful tree. It is a treasure. So please, if there's something good that you can do absolutely today for Oahu, just reconsider and table this. There are many other options.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Question?
Thank you. Ms. James, do you know how long I've tabled this after we recommitted it in the April council meeting back to the budget committee?
Myself, I'm embarrassed to tell you that I didn't know about this issue till the civil bid article came out, and again, it is a question.
I just need a yes or no question if you know how long I've tabled it for. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Seeing none. Next, we have Angela Melody Young.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young, CARES. So I read about this in the news. So whether or not to sell or not and to predict future activity is hard to say, but there could be a strategy to set in stone real plans for safety and protection and community action, a balance of activating neighborhood security watch for community policing team training. You could request a community garden or adopt a block for cleanup with clean water heroes. These are city resources. I'm sure I'm not the most ideal person to advise on this, but you can't depend on the police department to rescue the community, right? The community has to get to work. So something basic we're taught in Neighborhood Security Watch is when there is opportunity, target, and desire, undesirable activity happens, right? People sleeping in the park, domestic violence, trespass, things happen when the park is empty. So the thing is, right, you can get your neighbors together. Your neighbors don't like each other. Keep trying. It'd be nice if this was something like McDonald's. Somebody holds your hand and lets you order something. If I can offer advice, it's like, okay, stop talking about it. Do something about it. Neighborhood Security Walk is a free resource, and Clean Water Heroes is a city resource where they come out with a booth, tools, and equipment, supplies for volunteers to clean up and activate the park. Every single dime spent for staffing of the Clean Water Heroes booth on a weekend is not as much as you'd spend on other resources, such as sending the police department to the park every day to check it out. So the solution is always community.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. Ms. Young, did you mention the news, the most recent civil beat one or the one back in April?
I'm not sure.
By the news media.
I just read something, and because the neighborhood security walk that we do, which you activated.
Okay, thanks. I just needed to know if it was the one that was recent or the one that was back in April. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Okay, we're in discussion, members. Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Jared. I had a quick question.
Oh,
I
please.
guess it'd be for Director Kawano, unless someone from Parks is here. And as he comes up, I just wanted to kind of get better perspective on the timeline and understanding that there's, or if Parks wants to speak to it too. Just to understand the timeline in terms of the progressing sale, and I know Parks publicly indicated that they wouldn't process adopt a park applications while sales were pending. So I was just wondering, once this resolution is approved, what would the timeline be for the sale? And then maybe we could hand it over to Parks just to clarify on the adopt a park process and what the criteria is required.
Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. To be totally honest, we don't have a timeline because of how things have been progressing. So I don't have one right now. Yeah.
Okay, appreciate that. I don't know if there's any other insight on the adopt a park, or if you have any position.
We'll have Dory update you on that.
Okay, mahalo.
Hi, Dorian Monamatsui, Department of Parks and Recreation. Regarding Adopt a Park, you can do it online. There's online forms now that you can do. Then we have an Adopt a Park person who evaluates it, and then we vet it through our own department, and then we issue out the Adopt a Park agreement.
Okay. Is there a specific position on this particular parcel, or does more evaluation need to occur, or do you have any insight on, aside from the pending sale, would parks otherwise be open to adopting out this particular parcel?
If there's a sale, then of course we don't consider Adopt a Parks, because then it becomes a little bit challenging if the sale does go through. If this doesn't go through, then of course we're always looking at having volunteers adopting parks and assisting our staff to help maintain it.
Okay, and so just make sure I'm understanding, I don't hear you say anything at this moment that this particular property has anything that would preclude it from being adopted out, aside from the fact that it's pending a sale.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Members, any other questions for either of the testifiers? Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you. This is the chair for the budget director. With the $112,000, does this go into the general fund, or is this dedicated in some way?
It would go to the general fund.
Is there a way for us as the council, either now or in a future budget cycle, to take that money and use it for parks purposes, for example?
I think it would be possible for council members to earmark the money in a future budget session.
Any follow-up questions with Director Kawano?
I'm so sorry. Just for clarification, so any sale of park land does go to Parks Fund?
Okay, so it does go, this $112,000 will go into the parks fund specifically?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
I have a question for Director Kawano. I'm looking at Resolution 24-17. One of the whereases says there's an existing utility owned by Hawaiian Telecom. They have an easement agreement with the city. If we sell this to a private landowner, it says that they have to negotiate the easement on their own. Can you explain how that works?
Well, the land would be sold subject to the easement, so they would have to deal with Hawaiian Telecom.
So
They probably need access for servicing. That's what
Okay.
I'm thinking.
So the Hawaiian Telecom would then have to pay the private landowner to access their equipment, presumably, right?
Presumably, yes.
So they could actually make money off of this
Possibly.
purchase.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on the bottom of page 1, and by the way, I introduced this by request. It says that the sale of Lot 46 would be in the public's best interest, as it would relieve the city from further liability and maintenance on the parcel. So that's the best interest of the city? Relieving us from the obligation of caring for an open space?
I think that that's a factor. The other factor is that the park, because of its size, is very small. There's no parking. It's just not ideal to be more fully activated, with apparatus and things like that. It's just not, it's right next to the freeway. It's not the kind of place that you would think that would have lots of activity. In fact, I have heard that the Biki operation is thinking about possibly moving the bike share racks to a place that's more heavily used. So that's being evaluated as well. So it's just not an ideal location to activate and maintain relative to the other 300 parks that have to be maintained.
But this is a pretty strong statement here. It's in the public's best interest. It's public's best interest. as it would relieve the city from further liability and maintenance of the parcel. So it seems that the main reason to do this is to relieve the city of the obligation of maintaining it, according to this resolution. And by the way, I did introduce it by request. So this is my language. This is the administration's language. But if that's the best interest, I disagree. But thank you. Any follow-up questions, concerns?
Mr. Chair?
Councilmember Say.
I'm sorry. Can I just state for the record why I took a position in support of the sale? At the public hearing that we had in April, we did ask the question of where was the prospective buyers. They were not here at the public hearing that we had. So on May 30th, I have a copy of a letter to Mr. Kawano, and I think all members of the council who are with the budget committee got a copy from Ms. Ruth Chang of the RV Ventures Limited, and this was in regards to the P.E. Koi Mini Park. May I be able to read it, the letter?
Yes.
Okay. So it starts off with, Dear Mr. Kawano, thank you for your follow-up call regarding the P.E. Koi Mini Park sale. I was in the process of completing and mailing in the quitclaim deed instructions when Ms. So-and-so informed us that further clarification regarding the use of the property was needed prior to anything moving forward. That's where we had that April hearing, and no one knew what's going to happen. Our plan for the P.E. Koi Mini Park is simple. Let's secure the area for the use of the residents of 1419 P.E. Koi and also the adjoining 1421 P.E. Koi apartment, which is also owned by RV Ventures, and thereby create a safer environment for the entire community by eliminating what is now a haven for illegal activities and occupation and uncontrolled feral chicken population. We do not plan to change the topography of the lot. As an example, they are not going to remove the big trees, and we will add a fence around the perimeter and improve and beautify the landscaping. When the city approached us regarding the disposal of the mini park 14 years ago, letter dated November 13th of 2009, we responded with an interest in purchasing the park and have been following up with the city through the years while the illegal activities kept getting worse. The police have been called many times, and our residents have been subjected to some very stressful situations, including trespassing, people urinating and defecating and bathing and sleeping on our property and coming onto property with a knife. Right now, she says that the city has made very little effort to make this park a park for the community. The trees and the weeds were often not trimmed, rubbish left by the homeless unattended, and feral chickens roaming all over. These problems will continue to get worse, and so purchasing the property and investing in our time and resource is the only way we see to improve the situation. We also strongly feel that at this time, if the sale does not proceed, the budget committee and or governing body should also be required to issue a statement about what firm commitments will be made on their end, clearly outlining a plan and timeline to the community and the neighborhood board. The current situation cannot persist. So I look forward to hearing from you, and please let me know if you have further questions. Yours truly, Ms. Ruth Chang of RV Ventures. So we did get a response after the April meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? I'm going to add an objection, which would require a roll call vote. So roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Reservations.
Councilmember Say? Aye. Councilmember Talba remotely?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola,
Aye.
Councilmember Wire,
Aye.
Chair Waters.
No.
Mr. Chair, there are 8 ayes, 1 no.
Thank you. CR 217 and Resolution 24-17 has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 20, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 218 and Resolution 24-117, CD1 as amended, be adopted.
Second.
And this And this resolution approves the transfer of parcels 1 through 6 within Pohala Marsh, Waikele, Oahu, tax map keys 19-3001, 002, 006, 021, and 022 land area, 32 acres.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have 1 person logged on wishing to testify.
Okay, please proceed.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young testifying on behalf of Aurora Rescue of Animal Rights. So in support of the wildlife sanctuary, this says that it's a co-management responsibility with DLNR and the city. So the DLNR has requested transfer of lands for conservation purposes and to have natural resources of the marsh preserved and protected in perpetuity under its sole ownership and management. What this means is that it's saying DLNR is requesting the city to transfer the lands under DLNR's purview and responsibility for important natural resource management. The scope of DLNR's conservation work is broad, which includes work with Hawaiian endemic native invasive species and animals on the endangered species list, as well as other plants and animal management mitigation plans. So when we're talking about wildlife sanctuaries, the purpose is to protect against urban development, protect the birds and special species from urbanization because human activity causes disturbances. Disturbances from traffic, noise pollution causes detrimental harm to plants and animals. Therefore, we put the species on a sanctuary. So in strong support, thank you.
Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you. Any discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 218 and Resolution 24-117, CD1 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 21, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 219 and Resolution 24-118 be adopted, and this establishes the city policies and priorities for the use of the Grants and Aid Fund.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded as well as explained. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members who are in discussion? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 219 and Resolution 24-118 has been adopted. Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 220 and Resolution 24-160 be adopted, and this resolution urges the City Administration to propose an updated city policy prioritizing the use of community development block grant funds to support community nonprofit organizations, including, in particular, acquisition projects.
Second.
Thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded. And thank you for the explanation. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you, members. We're in discussion. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to thank the administration for the progress that they have made in working to direct these funds to nonprofit organizations. As I mentioned during our committee hearings, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Community Development Block Grant program is a source of invaluable support for our local nonprofit partners who serve our most vulnerable populations. And I feel that passage of this measure today is needed to make sure that support for nonprofits will not come and go as attention shifts, including the change in administration. So urge your support for this measure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 220 and Resolution 24-160 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 22, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 221 and Resolution 24-165 be adopted. This relates to real property tax compromise.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you for the explanation. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 221 and Resolution 24-165 has been adopted. Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 222 and Resolution 24-185 be adopted. And this resolution authorizes the Director of Budget and Fiscal Services to issue and sell not to exceed $563,105,000 principal amount of wastewater system revenue bonds, Senior Series 2024 and related matters.
Second.
I also move that Resolution 24-185 be amended to the posted FD1.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded as well as explained. Can you explain the amendment?
Yes, the FD1 makes amendments set forth in the written summary as posted on the agenda.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Members, we're in discussion on the amendment. Seeing none, any objections or reservations to the motion to amend? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 24-185 has been amended to the posted FD1. Members, we're now in discussion on the posted FD1. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Aye. Councilmember Talba remotely?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 222 and Resolution 24-185 FD1 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 23, Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 223 and Resolution 24-186 be adopted, and this resolution authorizes the Director of Budget and Fiscal Services to issue and sell not to exceed $140,360,000 principal amount of wastewater system revenue bonds, Junior Series 2024 and related matters.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you for the explanation. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Aye. Councilmember Talba remotely?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 223 and Resolution 24-186 has been adopted. Councilmember Cordero.
I move that Committee Report 224 and Resolution 24-187 be adopted, and this relates to the transfer of funds for the Honolulu Ocean Safety Department.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as well as explained. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Cordero.
Hi, may I have a question for the Acting Director, Kurt Lager?
Yes.
Thank you. Hi, Acting Director. Thank you very much for being here. I have a question relating to the projects for standing up different lifeguard stations, and I was wondering if we anticipate it to be like a 2-year process every single time, and how we can get ahead of the grain and plan for, I guess, a quicker expedited process for that.
Hi, thank you for that question. It is a long process, and part of that is that we are using the only company that makes those fiberglass towers that we use is located in California, and they are extremely busy. So from the time we purchase to the time it gets made and then gets shipped over here is the reason for the long drawn-out timeline. We are looking at other ways that we could hopefully expedite that, or possibly use another vendor or a different type of tower.
Understood. Thank you very much for that information. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions, members? Councilmember Tupola.
Hey, hi, Acting Director. No questions, but Lifeguard Tower 40 made 1 year on Saturday, so I'm excited and, of course, supportive of anything you guys do. And the Junior Lifeguard Championships went great. I went to that too. There was a shark, but didn't hurt anyone. It was a great event, so thanks for all you do, and all my love to the guards.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Members, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 224, Resolution 24-187 has been adopted. Turning to the top of page 24 from the Committee on Zoning, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam.
Thank you, Chair. I move that Committee Report 227 and Resolution 24-154 CD1 be adopted as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam for the explanation.
Chair, this grants a special management area major permit to allow for the construction of a new 2-story single-family dwelling and other improvements in Diamond Head, Oahu.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members were in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say?
Excused.
Councilmember Talba remotely?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Going back to Councilmember Say? Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 227 and Resolution 24-154, CD1 has been adopted. We're on the bottom of page 24. Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I move that Committee Report number 228 and Resolution 24-155, Committee Draft 1 as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Say for the explanation.
This is granting an after-the-fact special management area major permit for unauthorized modifications to an existing single-family dwelling, including 2 new wood upper decks connected by stairs, a new rooftop deck with bedroom extension below, renovation of a lower wood deck, and expansion of a swimming pool and spa in Manalua, Oahu.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members were in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba remotely?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 228 and Resolution 24-155, CD1 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 25, Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I move that Committee Report number 229 and Resolution 24-156, Committee Draft 1 as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Say for the explanation.
Once more is granting a special management area major permit to allow for the construction of a new single-family dwelling with a pool, spa, and pool house in Lanikai, Oahu.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members were in discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say?
Aye.
Councilmember Talba remotely? Councilmember Tupola?
Aye.
Councilmember Wire?
Aye.
Chair Waters?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 229 and Resolution 24-156, CD1 has been adopted. Councilmember Say.
Mr. Chair, I move that Committee Report number 230 and Resolution 24-182, Committee Draft 1 as amended, be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Say for the explanation.
Granting a special management area major permit to allow for the construction of a new single-family dwelling, including 2 lanais, detached garage and covered parking area, swimming pool with deck, and pool pavilion and retaining walls in the Manalua, Oahu area.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you, members. We're in discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Councilmember Say.
I have just one comment to make. With these 4 projects that have been approved, at least it's going to generate over $1 million in real property tax because of the value of these projects.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Aye.
Councilmember Kia Aina?
Aye.
Councilmember Okimoto?
Aye.
Councilmember Say? Councilmember Talba remotely?
Aye.
Councilmember Tupola,
Aye.
Councilmember Wire,
Aye.
Chair Waters.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, there are 9 ayes.
Thank you. CR 230 and Resolution 24-182, CD1 has been adopted. Turning to the top,
Chair,
Councilmember Kia Aina.
do you mind? I have to step out for a few minutes, but I did want to see if we could take out of order Resolution 24-184 on page 29 as it relates to Waimanalo District Park at this time.
Any objection, members, to moving Resolution 24-189 up to right now? Seeing none. Okay, so Councilmember Tolba on page 29, Resolution 24-189.
I move that CR 241 and Resolution 24-184 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Waimanalo District Park multi-purpose building in honor of Grace Aviento.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Kia Aina, did you want Resolution 24-184 or 189?
184.
184, okay. Was the motion made on 184? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Any testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, we have no testifiers.
I believe we have someone in the audience. Please come forward. Aloha. Thank you so much for waiting patiently.
Aloha mai kako. I'm Kimiona Kane, Chair, Waimanalo Neighborhood Board. Hello to the council for allowing us to take this out of order. Auntie Grace Adviento has been a pillar in our community for many generations, and we have been privileged, like myself, to learn from her in many various ways, including our summer fund programs, where she's been the most recognized for. And so this is a small measure for us to honor her in her still living moments, not while she's passed. And so she's probably listening. We want to extend our deep, heartfelt appreciation for her years of service to her and her family, and we urge the council to support the renaming of this building to honor her legacy. Mahalo nui.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifier? Seeing none, thank you again. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have one testifier logged on.
Okay, please proceed.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES. Although I'm not from that community, I do want to extend support and also to be supportive of Grace and the Waimanalo community. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
We're in discussion. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for Waimanalo Neighborhood Board Chair Kane for being here today. I'm so pleased to support the renaming of the Waimanalo District Park multi-purpose building in honor of Auntie Gracie Adviento, who I hope is watching at home in recognition of her years of dedication and support of the Waimanalo community. Auntie Gracie, your longstanding commitment of service as a former director of beach parks and district parks for the Waimanalo area, active community member and volunteer, has made a lasting impact on generations of Waimanalo keiki and their families. This impact is clearly felt through the enthusiastic support of this resolution by the Waimanalo Neighborhood Board and Waimanalo community members. I want to mahalo you for your years of service to the Waimanalo community and wish you good health and blessings to you and your ohana. Congratulations.
Well said. Thank you. Any further discussion? I'd just like to add my 2 cents as well. You know, I used to represent the Waimanalo community 20 years ago in the legislature, and I knew her back then as being a wonderful, wonderful person. So congratulations, Grace Adviento, in advance of our vote, but I'm sure it's going to pass unanimously. Hearing no further discussion, any objections or reservations? Seeing none, CR 241 and Resolution 24-184 has been adopted. Okay, members, let's go back to page 26. Back to page 26. From the Committee on Parks, Enterprise Services, and Culture and the Arts, Councilmember Tolba.
Move that CR 236 and Resolution 24-177 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Accepting a gift of cash in amount of $5,000 to the city from Friends of Hawaii Charities for the maintenance and upkeep of Kahala Community Park.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you, members. We're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 236 and Resolution 24-177 has been adopted. Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR-237 and Resolution 24-178 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Accepting a gift of cash in amount of $4,000 to the city from WellCare for the production of the 2025 Senior Citizens Valentine Dance on February 11, 2025 at the Neil S. Blaisdell Center.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members were in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, CR 237 and Resolution 24-178 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 27, Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR-238 and Resolution 24-179 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Accepting a gift of cash an amount of $8,223.98 to the city of from Shinyuen, Hawaii for the maintenance and upkeep of Ala Regional Park.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members were in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Seeing none, Resolution 24-238 and CR 238 and Resolution 24-179 has been adopted. Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR-239 and Resolution 24-180 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Accepting a gift of cash in amount of $4,000 to the city from Hawaii Medical Service Association to be used for the production of the 2024 Mayor's Craft and County Fair on November 23, 2024 at the Neil Blaisdell Center.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members were in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Seeing none, CR 239 and Resolution 24-180 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 28, Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR-240 and Resolution 24-181 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
And to give the cash an amount of $200 to the city from an anonymous donor for the repair of a broken slide at Kulio Old Neighborhood Park.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members were in discussion. Seeing none, I want to just note that how this worked was somebody actually taped the money to a broken slide on in the park. So whoever it is out there, if you're watching, thank you very much. We actually appreciate it very much. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? Noting none. CR 240 and Resolution 24-181 has been adopted. Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR 242 and Resolution 24-188 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
Accepting the gift of a variety of enrichment items to train, engage, and provide environmental stimuli to enhance the natural behaviors of animals at the Honolulu Zoo, valued at $17,063.63 to the city from the Honolulu Zoological Society for the Honolulu Zoo.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members are in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting none. CR 242 and Resolution 24-188 has been adopted. Members, moving to the top of page 29, Councilmember Tolba.
I move that CR-243 and Resolution 24-189 be CD1 as amended be adopted. Sorry.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Tolba for the explanation.
and a gift of travel and related expenses valued at $3,500 to the city from the Honolulu Festival Foundation for the Director of Enterprise Services to attend the Honolulu Festival Foundation Goodwill Mission Tour of Fukuoka, Hiroshima, and Tokyo, Japan from July 24th to the 29th, 2024.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Any discussion, members? Seeing none. Any objections or reservations? Seeing none. Noted no objections or reservations, CR 243 and Resolution 24-189, CD1 has been adopted. Moving to page 30. Page 30, members. From the Committee on Housing, Sustainability and Health, Councilmember Wire.
I move that Committee Report 246 and Resolution 24-191 CD1 is amended, authorizing the lease of city property to Family Promise of Hawaii for special needs housing under Section 38-3.4, revised ordinances of Honolulu 2021 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Wire, for the explanation?
As explained.
As explained. Thank you. Members, do we have any testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have 2 persons logged on.
Okay, please proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Ryan Cordero, and I serve as Executive Director of Family Promise of Hawaii. We strongly support this resolution. Family Promise specializes in serving children and families experiencing homelessness, and there is an urgent need for our services. Research shows that young children are more likely to experience homelessness than people of any other age, and in fact, family homelessness has been increasing on Oahu faster than other forms of homelessness. This Wahiawa property is well suited to serving children and families. This indoor enclosed property will be an important complement to the outdoor tiny home projects that are better suited to other populations. We're excited about the opportunity to partner with the city and reduce family homelessness, and we will continue collaborating closely with other service providers on system-wide approaches to ensure every child has a home. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the testifiers? Councilmember Wire.
Not a question, Chair, but just wanted to extend the mahalo again to Ryan and your team and Family Promise for your willingness and just stepping up to serve the community. So thank you again. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions? Councilmember Dos Santos.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks, Ryan, again, for all of your work to serve these very vulnerable families. Could you just walk us through what this property looks like, how many units, how many families, et cetera?
Sure. So this property has, it's 3 stories. It has over 20 rooms, but because we're using it for families with children, we plan to host about 12 families there at a time. We're going to use it for our, what we call our interim housing program, which provides short-term emergency shelter for families experiencing homelessness. This will be one of several facilities that we operate around the island. Families will be able to be there for typically around 3 months, although the length of time does vary depending on their need. While they're there, they'll be working intensively with our on-site case managers, who of course will be helping them get back into stable permanent housing as quickly as possible, but also addressing any of the other wraparound needs that they may have, whether it's employment, education, childcare. As I mentioned, Family Promise specializes in serving children and families experiencing homelessness. So we have a wide array of services and partnerships that we can put together to make sure that these families are able to quickly and effectively transition back into stable housing. So all of the rooms face, or I should say most of the rooms face an interior common area. There's a shared kitchen. We're going to be inviting volunteers to come and serve meals to those families, as Family Promise has always been a community-driven organization. And of course, we invite all of you, if you want to stop by at some point to bring a meal, we would love that. We will also be hosting other programs and services, from our volunteer-led workshops on financial education to our in-house workforce development programs right there on the site. And we hope to partner with other local organizations in the community to provide more complementary services as well. Each of the individual units has their own bathrooms, so it's a very private and secure place for families to be. There's also plenty of on-site parking if families have cars.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. Hi, Mr. Catalina. Thank you very much for what you and Family Promise have been doing. And I think this property is a great property. I saw the presentation when I was watching the different neighborhood boards and saw the presentation at the Wahiawa neighborhood board. So really great job to your team. And I was just wondering again what the timeline was for the different families to be at the property and then transition.
Sure. We have, we receive inquiries from, probably over 100 calls and emails and messages every week looking for services. So as soon as we're able to open the doors, it'll be filled pretty quickly with the 12 families. One thing I should mention is that, we will be prioritizing families from Wahiawa and that area as we are already experiencing a lot of need there. But at the moment, we're having to bring them to our other facilities in town. So we'll be able to better serve the community. So in terms of the timeline, as soon as the lease is executed and we are able to open the doors, it should start filling up pretty quickly. And on average, families stay with us for about an average of 90 to 100 days, so about 3 months. But it does vary. Sometimes families just need a little bit of time to get back on their feet. They may be out in a month. Sometimes they take a little while longer to establish what they need for stability. And so we're able to extend them on a case-by-case basis if it makes sense. But the target amount of time is about 3 months.
Thank you very much for that, and I appreciate that the organization for that work. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Seeing none, do we have any other testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, we have 2 persons logged on desiring to testify.
Okay, looks like Don Sakamoto, followed by Angela Melody Young. Don Sakamoto.
Yes, Chair. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Donald Sakamoto, longtime county resident. I just have a question concerning transition for families. I know one family that's pretty much going to be homeless. They have a son that's paralyzed from the neck down because he fell out of the pickup truck, and they're taking care of him, but they can't find any place to rent. So how can the agency provide services for children who are disabled or adults who are disabled in transition to from the homeless?
Actually, Mr. Sakamoto, I suggest you call my office or your area council member, and we can put you in touch with one of the programs.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Next, we have Angela Melody Young.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young, cares and strong support. So it looks like Family Promise prevents homelessness through serving families with children by providing critical housing services. And although homeless services are diverse, such as substance abuse addictions that cause homelessness, so they'll need more health care, or people suffering from family drama and domestic violence, which has caused mental health concerns that have caused them to be homeless. So maybe they'll need more counseling and behavioral health support. It's a really good organization, I think, to address the urgent community crisis. And I'm reading their website. Family Promise of Hawaii provides holistic, compassionate, and effective services for hundreds of families each year. So that nonprofit is so authentic, meeting people wherever they're at, extending the programs and services to them, healing them of what has injured their health and what has caused them to be wherever they're at in life. So the special needs housing is what this resolution is focused on. Accommodating the disabled in housing provides equity, those with bad health, suffering from health. So this provides for them. Accommodating disabled persons in the special needs category, such as sign language interpreter, is a good thing. It's a supreme level of service. And so I think it's very necessary.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any other testifiers?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you. Any discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting none, CR 246 and Resolution 24-191 CD1 has been adopted. Moving to the bottom of page 30 from the Committee on Public Safety, Councilmember Okimoto.
I move that CR 251 and Resolution 24-190 be adopted.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Okimoto for the explanation.
accepting a gift of $25,000 to the city from the Honolulu Police Community Foundation, HPCF, for the Honolulu Police Department's use in purchasing unbudgeted expenses.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. We're in discussion, members. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting none, CR 251 and Resolution 24-190 has been adopted. Moving to the top of page 31, balance of committee reports. Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that the balance of committee reports be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
EMLAC Committee Report 225, request for authorization to settle a case against the City and County of Honolulu entitled Ualani Gouveia et al. Versus City and County of Honolulu.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you, members. We're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, the balance of committee reports have been adopted. Moving to page 32, there being no unfinished business, new business. Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that Resolution 24-200 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
This resolution accepts a gift of materials, labor, and installation of lights valued at $20,000 to the city from A1A Electrician, Inc. for the Mililani District Park Skate Park facility.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have one person logged on.
Okay, Angela Melody Young, please proceed.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES. So actually, my stepdad works at A1 Electric company. So I'm surprised that Jimmy Yamada is not here testifying for this, but I'm in support.
Thank you very much. Any other testifiers, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Chair, that concludes the testifiers.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Councilmember Okimoto.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to, give a little mahalo to all those who have been participating in this. This kind of started out with really one of the mayor's town halls that ended up actually in Councilmember Wyer's district, but my community was involved. And this is a really good example of how the community got involved, how they've taken, the reins and tried to give their contributions to get something that was needed for part of my district. So I look forward to continuing working with those representatives from this A1 electrician, but also we've been dealing with parks and the mayor's office to make sure that this can get through. But I really am thankful. I think this is a good way for us moving forward to work with our communities and really have the community members give input as well as put forth some effort into getting things that they feel are needed in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion, members? Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting no objections or reservations, Resolution 24-200 has been adopted. Vice Chair Kia Aina.
I move that Resolution 24-201 be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Vice Chair Kia Aina for the explanation.
This resolution accepts a gift of 2 Twilight Tour certificates for up to 5 guests per certificate, valued at $200 to the city, from the Honolulu Zoological Society for the Office of the Managing Director to present to the winner's employee of the Employee Food Drive for the Hawaii Food Bank.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, do we have any testifiers?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
Thank you. Members, we're in discussion. Seeing none, any objections or reservations? Noting none, Resolution 24-201 has been adopted. Moving to page 33, there are no items for the Committee on the Whole. Are there any announcements? Any announcements? I have one. There's a memorial event for the Lahaina Remembrance Vigil tomorrow at Sandy Beach Park in my district. It's a beautiful drive from here out to Hawaii Kai at 12 o'clock noon. If you can make it, we'd love to have you. Any other announcements, members? Seeing none, Vice Chair Kia Aina, followed by the motion to adjourn.
I move that the meeting stand adjourned until Wednesday, September 4th, 2024 at 10 a.m.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from Angela Melody Young? Seeing none, the council is adjourned until Wednesday, September 4th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Thank you, members.